This is the Hockey Podcast Network, your home for hockey talk on every team in the NHL.
And the Norris Trophy goes to Mark Giordano.
Jerome McGinley's bomb, 500 goals.
Up the center and coming in is Loeb. Newendijk centered it, and that scores! Andy McDonald.
We're so good. Check your standing. Murray gets it again. That's the shot, they scores!
Flames top Flyers. A step in the right direction. Well, it's a lot more fun to start a show after a win. That's for sure. Have the Flames turned a corner? I don't know. Probably a little premature to be thinking that all the problems of the first 6 games are solved after a win over the Philadelphia Flyers that looked like the Flyers had not practiced this year. Shouldn't say that. They were a little sloppy, though. They were a little sloppy. So, although I'm very happy, I don't think we should get too pumped up. It was a lot of doom and gloom, though, and maybe that was a little bit premature and not warranted. Last year, we got up to a little shaky start, then got blew out by Pittsburgh. And then everything went great from there on out. It changed the mindset. Everything was good. Do we look at the Vegas game as that? I don't know. Happy with the performance against Philadelphia, also because we got some scoring out of the bottom 6. But it's way more fun when Calgary's winning, isn't it? Heritage Classic coming up pretty soon. You see David Riddick's pads today. Old school brown. Look pretty good. I kind of liked him. I'm excited for that game. I'll be here before you know it. It's a week away from this Saturday, so coming up quick, and that is going to be in Regina, which is a beautiful, beautiful city. I love going to Regina. Went there for the Memorial Cup a couple years ago and had a blast. It's a great, great facility and a great fun town to hang out in. I like his pads. I wonder if he's getting a new mask. I didn't see anything on that today. Smith's old mask from last year would have been good for that game, but I don't know. Anything to do with that, though. I don't even want to relive those. I'm fine not seeing a mask like that. I actually liked Riddick's mask this year, and pretty sharp looking. I like the way he's played, too. He's been a bright spot. Of course, the one game I go to live, he is a horrible, horrible night. I guess that's the way it goes. It's time to talk some Flames hockey.
Inside Edge Hockey News, faking the slapper, and going top shelf.
All right, Tuesday night, October 15th, Calgary has Philadelphia come to town, and I wouldn't say they controlled the game, but I don't know. For the most part, they controlled the game. Get a 3-1 final in the scoreboard. We'll kind of roll through each period and talk a little bit about some of the things that have happened, and then we'll roll into a whole bunch of other Flames talk. First period, quick goal from Frolik, and boy, you know, doesn't it mean a world of difference when you're not playing from behind? Calgary hasn't been real good at that this year. They've played from behind in almost every game. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but it hasn't been real good. Penalty fill first period. Really ticky-tacky penalties. Quite a few times I was like, what? You know, if you took your arm off your stick and had to use your free hand at all to touch anybody, you were going to the penalty box. I'm not one to usually bitch about penalties, and I usually get irate when I see Johnny Gaudreau or Tkachuk flipping out on the refs because that does no good. That actually hurts you. And I hate when they do that, but actually I think that maybe Gaudreau had a little bit of a beef, and Tkachuk did on his too. So, I don't know. A lot of ticky-tack penalties. Monahan gets what we thought was going to be the second goal with just seconds to go, but it was disallowed. for being kicked in. At first, I didn't think that Elliott was making any sense. I didn't think it was kicked in. Watched the replay, and I was like, yeah, I'm agreeing on this one. I'm with him on this one. So 1-0 Flames after the first. Period 2, not a lot happened in period 2. First part was really sloppy. Someone who scares me, and I talked a lot about this last year, and that was Riddick plays the puck a lot out of the net. Ever since he hung out with Smith, which is a good thing, and I know. Calgary's coaching staff will tell us it saves on the defensemen's bodies, and I agree it does. But it also costs a lot of goals, and there's a lot of times last year I was like, what is Smith doing? And I was pissed off. Well, Riddick is playing the puck a lot more after working with Smith last year. And for the most part, I would say he's average to maybe a little above average playing the puck. But I think he's been a little nonchalant this year. That would be a way to sum it up. Hasn't got burned yet, but it's going to happen here real soon. I can just tell. And I wish he would just control it just a little bit. Great news in the second period is a bottom 6 forward scores. Yes, a bottom 6 forward for the Flames finally scores. I bragged all summer about our depth, our bottom 6 depth. Boy, we're deep. And of course, because I did that, I've been proven wrong this season so far, and I still believe we're deep, but we just haven't seen it on the scoreboard at all. And finally, Mangiapane breaks through on a beautiful pass from Captain Gio, and Flames go up 2-0 to end the second period, and things are looking good at the Saddle Dome on Tuesday night. Third period, I thought there was a strong pushback from Philadelphia, which is expected, I guess, and Niskanen does score on a one-timer. Delayed penalty was going to be called. Niskanen scores, we get 2-1, so we're back and we got a game again. And, things got a little hairy, and Riddick made a couple big saves, and I thought that big save Dave was big save Dave. I thought he was on the top of his game. I've been happy with. Honestly, I know a lot of people were bitching at him for the Colorado game. I was happy with him that game. I've been happy with him every single game except for the Vegas game. I thought the Vegas game, he stunk. One of his worst games I've seen him play in his career. Late in the third, scary moment, when Backlund blocks a slap shot, and it was right on the side of his foot, and he needed help, and he went right down to the locker room, and I'm like, oh boy. I talked about it all summer about how Calgary was so fortunate last year and did not have those injury issues and those injury problems, and I'm like, crap, here we go. I was just going to start it, and Backlund just finally, I thought he's been really good since the road trip. I started a little slow at the beginning of the year. I thought I was really upset with him after the first 2 games, and he's really picked up his game, and honestly, I thought Sunday night and prior to getting injured in this game were his best performances of the year, and he's a great player. He did come back about 6 or 8 minutes later, which surprised the heck out of me. Took faceoffs, did his normal shift and everything. But I could tell in the post game that Peters is a little bit worried, as was I. Peters' quote was, "I'll breathe a little easier in the morning. We'll see how he reacts overnight." I don't know exactly where he took it, but it was a heavy shot, and he was in quite a bit of discomfort. I credit him for coming back and playing. We'll see how the next 12 to 18 hours go, and hopefully we'll dodge a bullet. Well, I hope we do dodge a bullet, and I hope Coach Peters is right, because Michael Backlund is one of the most integral pieces of this offense. He's a top 2-way player in the National Hockey League. He did not skate for practice today. They said it was maintenance, and I guess there's no reason to not believe him. They said he'll be a game-time decision for Thursday's game, which we'll preview in a little bit here when the Detroit Red Wings come to town. We'll see. Even if he sat out, I guess I wouldn't be upset. I think if there was a more severe broken bone type situation, we would have heard that today. I don't think there would have been any reason to hide that and say he was a game-time decision. So I'm going to believe with what was released today, and that it was a day of maintenance. He stayed home from practice, and we'll be back 80% or better tomorrow night and be playing. Now, another crazy situation happened in this game. And I hate to go through the game play by play because you know what? You watch the game. If you listen to this podcast, you're a fan and you watch the game. You don't need me telling you what happened. But I want to give you my opinion on one thing. Late in the game, 2-1 still at this point. Riddick goes for the empty netter. Puck bounces in front of him. He corrals it and fires it down the ice. Now, he does not score. God, I wanted him to score. Oh, man. Would that have been so sweet? But my first thought was, geez, 2-1. How's this going to go over? Coaches are going to be pissed. Offensive zone face-off. God, you know. He interviewed Peters after the game, and in his post-game media, he said that he wasn't all that happy with it based on the score, and it would be something that would be discussed. Riddick, on the other hand, I loved his quote, and I'm going to read his quote for you because I thought it was typical Riddick. It was funny. He said, "It was a weird bounce off the wall, and I had it on my tape, so I thought I was going to do something. I'm going to try chip it out or do something with it. If I was going to freeze it, it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be a face-off in our zone without a change. I just tried what I did." And you know what? I never thought of it that way. Because if he would have just covered it up, it's a face-off in the zone. It is. It's the same thing. So why not go for it? But on my other hand, he could have just chipped it out. Right draw weight on it, just gets it out of the zone. No worries. I did think it was a clever comment, though. Because if he would have just covered it up, the coach wouldn't have chewed his ass. They just had a defensive zone face-off. He's a clever, funny guy. I love that guy. Lindholm does score after that, seals the deal with an empty netter. 3-1 Calgary Flames. Guys I liked. I liked Frolik. I liked Mangiapane. I liked Riddick. I loved Backlund. And my favorite guy of the night was Lindholm. That guy is a horse. I really like the way he plays. And I've often thought, I wonder what would happen. And I'll probably talk about this maybe on Monday's episode. What happens if they shifted him to center and had him pair with like Kachuk? And then you make 3 deeper lines and kind of fill in the spots. I'm going to talk a little bit about that on Sunday. Just a little idea I had.
Every team, everywhere. The Hockey Podcast Network.
All right, one of the beefs on the Flames this year has been, what is it going to take to win? I don't think they're off to a start that anybody's like panicking about, but they're off to a start where I don't think we're really happy. I'm not satisfied as a fan at where Calgary sits right now. Now, I'm not paying panic mode or anything like that, but I don't think that based off what we've seen and what we've looked at with this team, they're where we want them to be. As I record this, it is, what day is today? It's Wednesday night. It's late Wednesday night. This will be released on Thursday morning on the Hockey Podcast Network. Oh, isn't that just a great site where you can get podcasts for every single NHL team? Man, I'm proud to be part of their group. All right, back to what I was talking about. Pacific Division, Calgary currently, after 7 games, 3-3-1, sits in 4th place with 18 points. No, excuse me. What am I doing? Bad math. 7 points. 1 back of Vegas. 1 ahead of Vancouver, who's really, really hot. Let's take a look at the wild card situation. And as it stands today, Calgary would be holding down that second wild card spot. And guess what? They would have to play the Edmonton Oilers. And man, would that be fun. Holy cow, would that be fun. And it is way too early to be talking about standings, so we're not going to worry about that. But we are worried about winning games. And what is it going to take to win games? I think it's going to take consistency. And I think that's one thing that the Flames have really, really lacked this year. It's been a slow start. And there's a reason for it. And let's talk a little bit about it. Number 1. Everybody, when I say consistency, what I mean is every player needs to show up every single night. I feel like we've had some passengers this year. I'm not trying to throw players under the bus or be overly critical of them. But we've had some passengers and we've lacked consistency. Every night I can tell you a guy that I'm not real happy with. Tuesday night against Philadelphia, I didn't have anybody I was really totally unhappy with. So that's a good sign. That's part of getting back on the winning ways. Another reason for the slow start this year is our bottom six production. It just has been non-existent. Not one center has scored besides Sean Monahan. That's a problem. We need Ryan to chip in a few here and there. We need to find out who Mark Jankowski is. Does he fit? Do we want him? I want him. I love that guy, but why does he just let me down? And I've ranted about that on the last episode. We need to get bottom six production. And we got that on Tuesday night against Philly. And we win. See how that works? Lines need to gel together. And I kind of freaked out on our last episode about the 3M line and how we've kind of dinked with them and shuffled them and pulled them apart way too much. They came back together on Sunday night, put all Sunday night and Tuesday night together, and they were the best line for the Calgary Flames. They just were. We need to let lines gel together. We need to solidify them and let them gel together. Another reason we're off to a slow start is because we're not playing the lockdown style that we played last year. We've allowed more shots than any team in the National Hockey League this year. That's not good. That is a stat that scares the crap out of me. We need to get to that lockdown style, and we did that on Tuesday night against Philly. I don't have it right in front of me, the exact shots that night, but Calgary held them to under 30. Critical that we do that. Now, on positives so far this year, things that we need to keep building on, fix those other things, keep these things going, we're going to be good. Goaltending's been good. That has been one bright spot, and the first line, to me, has been a bright spot. They've been pretty consistent, unlike the rest of the team. We need to play with that intensity. We need to play with that grit. That is how you're going to move up the standings. The NHL is way, way too hard of a league to just sit there and pray that things go well. You have to be there every single night with 110% effort to win hockey games. What it's going to take to win is consistency.
Inside Edge Hockey News. Bringing the NHL to the fans.
Let's talk a little bit about Michael Frolik. I've been pretty critical of this guy. I liked him a lot, but last year I kind of got upset with him. We're going to talk about the bad before we talk about the good on Michael Frolik here. Last year, I got really upset with him. Late in the season, about 3/4 of the way through, he was upset because his lines were getting shuffled. Now, I would be upset too as a player if lines were getting shuffled because I, just like I said in the previous segment, like consistency and I like when coaches give lines a chance to gel. But last year he got shuffled around a little bit. Didn't really make him very happy. And he basically went into the press, though, and that's when I get a little bit frustrated. He and his agent, well, I shouldn't say he. Frolik did not tweet anything. Frolik did not say anything, but his agent did. His agent was very, very critical of the Flames staff, coaching staff, and I thought it was handled extremely unprofessional. His agent, Alan Walsh, has a tendency to do this. He frustrates me because he's not always as professional as he should be in this situation. I think that's something that coaches, general managers, players, and agents should be talking about in a room with closed doors. I don't think it should be leaving those areas. But unfortunately it did, and I don't like it. So it gave me a bad taste in my mouth. It's also not a secret that the Flames were looking to move him over the summer. Frolik didn't want to be part of the Calgary Flames. That's also not very appealing, because I think for teams to gel together and be a team that's going to go a long ways, you can't have passengers. You got to have guys on board, part of the team. I've always liked where he fits in the 3M line, and I'm a big proponent of that line, and I really like that line. And I like his style. He's kind of the defensive core of that can chip in offensively. But as I've also noticed that when Frolik does play with confidence, he's very, very, very successful, not only defensively, but chipping in. His success has come in spurts as a Flame. I was really worried about how he'd be coming into this season. I actually thought he would shuffle off the 3M line and come down and be a healthy scratch once in a while just because of the attitude. I've been wrong. I've liked his play. I can only think of one night where I was like a little bit on the fence if I didn't like his play. And that's pretty good. I like his fit on the team. I love that the talk is, and what I've seen in the last 2 games, that they're solidifying that 3M line. I hope they move past all the negative vibes and have positive. And boy, did we see positives on Tuesday night. As Frolik celebrated his 800th game, he announced the starting lineup in the locker room prior to the game and had a little bit of fun with it. And what do you think happens? He goes out and scores the first goal of the game right away, sets a tone, and man, you just felt it in the air that night. It's like, man, it's going to be a good night if you're a Calgary Flames fan. He was pretty pumped in the locker room, too. His quote was, "Not bad, huh? Get a goal, get a win. I think the win is the most important. I'll remember this night for sure. It's a special. I'll never forget it. 800. It's a special number. I was definitely excited. Couldn't go much better scoring on the second shift. I told Bax there on the ice, let's make sure we're on the same page and have a good game. I think we did. It's a good 2 points. Couldn't agree with you more, Mr. Frolik. Proud of you. Great, great game. And I hope that this is a sign of good things to come.
Every team, everywhere. The Hockey Podcast Network.
All right, let's take a little trip around the National Hockey League. Look at some news. Answer a Flame question. Fan question. We're talking about a Flame question, a fan question. Let's get into game previews. We got to talk about 2 games still. We got a lot to talk about. Got to get her going. A couple news around the National Hockey League that I thought was really interesting. Darcy Keumper, goalie for the Arizona Coyotes, has allowed 2 goals or less in his 11th consecutive start. Quietly one of the better netminders in the National Hockey League. How about those Carolina Hurricanes? 6-1-0 to start. Proving me wrong. You saw my predictions on Inside Edge Hockey News this spring. You would know I was clearly wrong on this one. Third thing I wanted to bring up, Canucks, our rival, our bitter rival. They extend their win streak to 3 games at home. Pettersson's rolling. Adler's is really good on the back end. Brock Besser's doing good things. Man, that goal Pettersson had the other night was good. Well, we beat them 3-0. Hopefully next time we play them, we have some good success. But those are some little tidbits from around the National Hockey League. Let's talk fan question. Follow some great Facebook page, Calgary Flame, where I get some fan input and some fan talk, and I love chatting on those during games. Flames Hub, Kathy Stewart put a question on today, and I kind of stole it from the site because I thought it was a dang good question. So I'm going to answer it. If the Calgary Flames didn't exist, who would be your favorite team? I love that question because I've thought about this a lot. I thought, who would I like if I didn't like the Flames? You know who it would be? It'd be the Winnipeg Jets. A couple reasons. I like Winnipeg. It's the closest National Hockey League team to where I live. I have a soft spot in my heart because I went to the third to last game played for the original Winnipeg Jets at the old Winnipeg Arena. It was against the Flames. Good game too. It was sad to see them go just because I felt like I hate when teams get ripped out of cities, especially cities that are good hockey cities like Winnipeg. Winnipeg loves their team. Winnipeg loves hockey. And it was sad to see them go. And so when they came back, I had a soft spot for them just because it's like, oh, man, I always hoped they'd get their team back. And they did. Took a longer than I thought, but it did. And I don't know if you've been to a game in Winnipeg. It's the loudest rink I've ever been in for a National Hockey League game. It rocks in there on a nightly basis. So I'd be a Winnipeg Jets fan. I also have a soft spot for Buffalo for some reason. That's kind of my Eastern Conference team. Even though lately in the last 6 years I've not liked what they've done. I could go on and on about that, but Buffalo's a good hockey city. It's a fun place to go watch a game. As a side note to this, I did think about this a lot last year when all the problems were going on with the arena and all the goofy, silly, garbage stuff that was happening. And I thought, well, if we moved to Houston, would I still be a Flames fan? Would I be a Houston Flames fan? Or a Houston whatever they call them? I wouldn't have. I'd have been done, guys. I'd have been done. This team moves out of Calgary, I'm done. I'm going to be a Winnipeg Jets fan. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not cheering for the Jets right now or anything like that. But I would be. I'd be done. I'd be frustrated. Be crabby. And I would... I'd be moving on. Game previews. 2 big games coming up this weekend. I'm excited to watch the Flames this weekend. I really am. Thursday night, Detroit comes to town. 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock start Mountain Time. Detroit 3-3-0, 5th in the Atlantic. Anthony Manthoff to a great start. This is a young, energetic team. They're going to struggle this year. They're going to have some tough times. But I think they're going in the right direction. I really do. They work hard, and I don't know. I never thought I'd ever say I cheered for Detroit or anything like that because for all those years, I couldn't stand them. But I think they're moving in the right direction. Anthony Mantha leads the team with 6 goals. Dylan Larkin, I also like him, has 5 assists. They have taken their lumps. The other night, Vancouver gave them a 5-1 shellacking. And before that, Toronto beat them at home 5-2. So 2 losses in a row. They're going to come into Calgary pretty fired up. Players to watch. For Calgary, Elias Lindholm is the guy I'm going to watch. And the reason I put that in is because I'm really interested because he's coming off what I feel is his best game of the year. But I'm also really interested to see how, with Backlund possibly not playing, depending on how his foot is, I'm interested to see if Backlund doesn't play, does Lindholm move to center and do they shuffle these things around? I like Lindholm on the wing. Don't get me wrong with Monahan and Gaudreau. I love it. But I kind of got a part of me that wants to see how he would do if he was center in a line and if that would add more depth. And I talked about it earlier in the show, and I am going to have a little segment on that next episode, but he's my guy to watch. Detroit, Tyler Bertuzzi, 7 points in 6 games, 3 goals. His shot percentage is 25%. Now, I don't think he can sustain that, but I'm interested to watch Tyler Bertuzzi on Thursday night. Critical game for the Flames. We need to keep things rolling after a win against Philadelphia, and we go on the road after that. So it's time to get another win, another 2 points against a team that the Flames should, talent-wise, handle. Then on Saturday night, Hockey Night in Canada again, Flames head down to Los Angeles for a battle with the Los Angeles Kings. Drew Doughty, Matthew Tkachuk, battle number 2 for the season. LA 2-4-0, 7th in the Pacific, but beat Calgary last week 4-3 in overtime in a game I thought Calgary was atrocious. One of the worst games of the year. Chalk that one up next to the Vegas game as the stinker of the year. LA has the worst goals against average in the league at 4.67, and they are starving on offense too, so they've got troubles on both ends. Campbell has outplayed Quick thus far. Campbell's got the win against the Flames last week, and I'm interested to see in players to watch for Los Angeles. I've got Jonathan Quick, and I'm wondering if he'll start. And then if he does start, are we going to start to see a rebound? He struggled terribly this year, and I'm just interested to see if he will get things back on the right track, and if we'll see the Jonathan Quick that we're used to watching and we're used to struggling to score against. For Calgary, player to watch, Matthew Tkachuk. Oh, boy, the LA battle. After the win last week, Drew Doughty tried to downplay the rivalry between the two and said it's done and doesn't want to deal with it any longer. And Matthew Tkachuk followed it up with his scrum, saying, I can't wait to play him in 2 weeks. And you know what? I can't wait to play him on Saturday night. 2 good games this weekend. Detroit at Calgary Thursday night. Calgary at Los Angeles Saturday night. Thanks for tuning in. Let's hope the winning continues in Calgary. Get connected. Flames Unfiltered can be found on Twitter at Flame Unfiltered. And also make sure you check out our Facebook page at Flames Unfiltered. Check out host Brad Burud on Twitter at Brad Burud. And if you like what you hear, rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. You can find Flames Unfiltered on all the major podcast players. And consider subscribing to Inside Edge Hockey News on Patreon. That'll get you exclusive content and much more. Thanks again and enjoy the hockey action.
Play on! Yeah, baby! Play on! Yeah, baby!
Thanks for listening to Flames Unfiltered. Check back for more action-packed Calgary Flames talk.
Flames bench, there's all kinds of excitement going on there. Over at the penalty box, Jim Poplitsky and Tim Hunter not dressed tonight, enjoying Al McInnes. They've got their sweats on, and the Calgary Flames have won the Stanley Cup. We're the winners! We're the winners! Yeah, baby! Yeah, baby! Yeah, baby!
You're listening to the Hockey Podcast Network on Twitter at HockeyPodNet. New episodes every Monday and Thursday. Download at thehockeypodcastnetwork.com or wherever you get your podcasts from.
This has been a production of Inside Edge Hockey News Radio, brought to you by the Hockey Podcast Network. This production is copyrighted and distributed by the Inside Edge Hockey Media Group.